Hey y'all, I'm back here with Dr. Charles Opong. He came last time. He's back with us again to the Hope and Strength Unit podcast, and I am Raina Spates. Today we're going to be talking about mental health, men's mental health, and how men deal with forgiveness and how they react to things that happen in their life that maybe they are not able to forgive as well. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what the man says about it. All right, let's get into it.
Off by really reflecting about forgiveness. Forgiveness is often a product of offense.
Men in general, what's the go-to emotion when they get offended?
On the male spectrum, on the man spectrum, just the different. So it's shut down.
Shut down?
To me, shut down neutralizes the emotion of something that could tear everything apart. I'm not a yeller, I'm not a screamer, I'm not good at it. My voice is already raspy naturally. So if like even, like on a basketball court, I notice, it's like, why did I do that? I just shattered my vocal cords.
Oh my gosh.
And I was bad for maybe about like 3 years. So I just don't, like, even irrespective of that, right? Like I just feel like, to me, the go-to emotion is like a hermit, to just tuck. And it's kind of like an earthquake. You know what I mean? Tuck, roll.
Yeah.
For me, it's like tuck and gather. What's happening right now. I understand what's happening, but if I respond in this way,
it could be dangerous.
It can be treacherous.
I mean, it's not 100% good, because if you go and retreat, or if a man were to just be quiet and, like you say, become a hermit with his anger or his emotions, then they can fester and become something else if they don't get into a place where they let it go.
I feel like a few things happen though, right? Like that's the go-to emotion, you have fight or flight. Most men do fight. Fight comes in different ways. It can come in the form of drinking. The rebuttal is to respond. Hopefully, nobody takes offense to this, but I've never seen a man who has won an argument against a woman and lived to tell about
it. Really? Okay. I could take that. Yeah. Because I know when I get into arguments, I do win, usually.
Y'all the MVP. Like, I mean...
We just keep a Rolodex of everything that happens.
Automatically. God built y'all that way.
For 20 years.
Straight up.
Like, but wait a minute. We're back in 1972.
I'm telling you. And this is the advice that I give my young bulls. Like, I tell them, I'm just like, okay, just silence. Because you cannot quote a silent man.
That's true.
And I learned that from my mentor. So I'm just like, but if it's one-on-one, nobody's there to proctor, nobody's there to facilitate, you're in deep trouble. And I'm just being...
a therapist.
Huh?
Unless you get a therapist.
Unless you get a therapist. Like, a therapist is good at any point and at any time. A therapist is not something you break glass if needed.
Right.
Just for men in general, it's just good to have two types of therapists.
Yeah.
Your homeboys, from a peer standpoint, I think we can all be each other's peer therapists. And then, just having somebody on the professional clinical side.
Say there's a man. A man has been offending you and stepping on your toes.
Another man offending me as a man.
Like a go-to emotion a man would have when he is repeatedly offended by another man.
That's a really good question. Grace is not an emotion. I want to say a go-to emotion is grace. Curiosity is not emotion, but I'm thinking, these
why?
grace, curiosity. Yeah, I'm like, bro, are you okay? I'm thinking like Charles now. Like, my go-to emotion is never excitement.
Okay.
In a negative form, that is.
I can see that. Like, you don't seem like the type of person, because of your energy and because of the way that you come across, you're not that type of person where somebody's going to keep repeatedly offending you and coming at you, because I believe the way that you carry yourself.
Well, thank you for saying that.
No. Definitely, for sure, 100%.
Okay, so I'm gonna get personal a little bit. I've never said this to anybody. As a kid, I was bullied in school.
Was it a girl?
I was bullied by girls. I was bullied by guys. Obviously, you come from a black community. I'm not bullied by, Mexican kids, Latino kids. I'm bullied by people that look like me. For whatever reason, I'm just like, are you okay? In my mind, I'm like,
no,
why are you?
Not.
That part,
answer is no.
Right? But to me, I'm like, why are you doing this to me? I'll step back first and I'll just question. I just do just mental investigations as to what's happening. Why is this person feeling this way? Why am I reacting the way I'm reacting? Why aren't I reacting the way I should be reacting?
That, what you just said, is really important, because I don't think a lot of people take the time to think about, what's wrong with you? Why are you trying to do this to me? They just immediately want to go straight to fight. Some men, or women too. 9 times out of 10, when it is a bully situation, the bully is having some psychological issues.
Absolutely.
Something at home. Something is not right.
There you go. Or the bully was was bullied. Hurt people, whatever.
Maybe that's why you have that type of energy where you're not gonna keep getting it because you're gonna question their actions.
Right.
A lot of times bullies, they don't want to get questioned as to what's going on because then that forces them to examine the inside of their psyche.
It becomes therapeutic.
Yeah.
The therapist comes in and it's like,
yeah.
I mean, what you asking me questions for?
Yeah.
You know,
Don't bully me because I'm gonna break you down. Man, as a child, come on now. All right, let's go to the next part. What's the next thing she's saying?
Okay.
Something that was unexpected, something that actually challenged our reality, but also something that has caused a wound inside. So when we're thinking about offense or unforgiveness, we're also considering the injuries that we hold, such as depression, anxiety, guilt, and shame. So it's not only the circumstance, but it's what we're holding behind the circumstance that often creates a container for unforgiveness. And so it is very important because there are a lot of mood states that individuals carry within that has to do with the past experience that they have not yet released or processed, that keeps you in a place of stagnation. You're really not quite sure why you're acting this way, why you're feeling this way. It's because of suppressed past offense that you really, really haven't released.
Say that. What she just said is just what we're talking about, right? And that's why bullies continue to bully, because they get into this thing where they're stuck and they continue to do the same action over and over again.
I believe that.
As a past offense.
I believe that wholeheartedly. She's good.
She is.
She had me thinking about a few things just with the little that she said right there. I believe forgiveness is meant to be hard.
But what about when you're still in the process of being abused, and then sometimes people have to forgive, like a child is bullied. Like maybe when they're at home they're getting abused, and it's hard for them to forgive when they're going right back home to that same abuse.
That's not good because the environment is not conducive for them to do what we just talked about in you and I's first forum right now, stepping back. And so when you do something to somebody, it comes from somewhere, good or bad. And when you forgive somebody, it comes from somewhere.
Yeah, and you have to have some good inside of you.
Good only.
Yes.
There you go. Thank you.
Yeah.
Because forgiveness comes out of love. Little Timmy or little Susie is coming home to the same environment every day to mom or grandpa or auntie or uncle or dad, beating on them for no apparent reason.
Yeah.
How can they process love correctly?
Sometimes in order to forgive, you got to relive it, though. You got to go and you got to identify each thing that happened.
Yes.
Okay, this happened. Okay, I release it and I let it go and I forgive the person.
Yes. And correct. And you have to unpack it too. You have to do what?
Unpack it, open it up, pull things out one by one. Yeah.
Shake it. Certain things need to be washed.
Yeah.
Everything has to go in its rightful place again. That, to me, that same analogy should be used in life, but it's hard to do that when you're just not in a conducive environment. So it's just like, think of the house. The house is the foundation. It's the dirt. It's the mommy, the daddy, the grandma, the auntie, the uncle, the brothers. And if things are happening in there that represent abuse in any form or fashion, that plant is gonna have effects, deep,
Definitely.
adverse effects, meaning a child was disrupted.
So that means like people who are raising kids that are bullies, they need to start at home and figure out like what's going on inside the house.
What's going on with you?
Yeah, as a parent. But sometimes it's the older brother or sister or somebody that's abusing the little one. And it's like, okay, so let's see, where is this coming from? Where is, like you said, you got to question them and break it down. But when I say a bully, I automatically think that child is being abused in some way. There's some psychological damage in order for them to turn into somebody who's violent or wants to inflict pain and violence on somebody else. Am I wrong?
No, you're absolutely right. So real quick, so it's all spiritual because everything can be going great. Let's say we're having a surprise party for Donovan. Out of nowhere, let's just say this one kid who sees him just sees that he has all the things that he doesn't have. And jealousy just comes in. So that's why I say everything that happens,
True.
It doesn't necessarily need to be abuse. It's like, it's all spiritual. It's like jealousy is it's a spirit. Envy is a spirit, right? Happiness is a spirit. You can't see it, just like words, right? You can't see it, but it comes from somewhere. Why do you feel this way? But the root of that is because I didn't have, so I don't like that you have. And I want to crash your party because your parents love you. And how your mommy and daddy so good to you, so sweet to you, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's another issue. Yeah, you true. That's right. That's right.
It-
I didn't even
it's,
think about that part.
You know,
Yeah.
what's the origination? Like,
Yeah.
where's it come from? And
It's coming from somewhere though.
from somewhere.
See what's next. That is so key. Like just for everything, just to begin your mental health and mental healing, forgiveness is what. Would you say is the first step?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's really about recognizing that we're not going to get through this life without being offended.
That's right.
Right? We're all individuals. We all have our individual experiences that we bring from childhood. We do not have the same blueprint. We don't have the same expectations.
Okay.
So that is the first place to really expect that no one is perfect and we're not perfect as well. But also to understand when you are offended, it's okay to feel those feelings. We're not saying deny it and, just have this toxic positivity, right? Everything is okay, right? Because then it creates very loose boundaries for a lot of codependency or unsolicited offenses. And we do have that position as well. How we actually overcompromise and end up in the same feedback loops to actually be used or be injured in
He's
that.
good. Toxic, what again?
Oh, toxic
Everything.
defensive that everything is okay.
Yes.
It's toxic to say that everything is okay and that
I like that. That's most black men. I'm alright. That's most gangbangers. And I speak for them too. There are other like deeper origins as to why that came about, but like why we're still carrying out this way now in any form, right? Like not just gangbangers, but somebody's gonna say, how can you compare the two? But whether you are a KKK member or a gang member,
I think it's the same.
they're about the same, right?
Yeah.
Like both kill,
Both inflict control over a community.
both have a foundation of hate. The foundation that they operate under is not like, oh, come to our house and we're gonna make you cookies and
Well, the
it's-
origins was supposed to be that though, for both groups. Ah! What's
You want to go to King Hall at Cal State LA,
okay.
the
What is it?
College of
Am I
Ethnic
wrong?
Studies?
Am I wrong?
No, I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm just
Oh.
like,
I want if I am, I want to be correct now. Protect the community and keep it safe from outsiders.
who are outsiders? Who would they be keeping it from? See, that's the thing.
Of course, it's racist, and
Yeah.
you have those redlining where there's only people with a certain color are allowed to live in this community. So yes,
Okay, so you're partially right. So the KKK happened after the liberation. What was the jubilee of Juneteenth? Once they realized that black people were absolutely free. Really it's not against black women, it's against black men. And if we feel any form or any threat from this group, we're gonna kill. And at all points and at all times, this is just what they founded it on. It's founded upon that. Their grand dragons and their grand leaders and whatever it is that they call themselves was to inflict harm, danger, and death on black men.
right.
You know what I mean? And those are the main people that they took from the house. Like when they came and took Malcolm X's dad, this is what they did. They didn't take the woman, they took his dad.
Yeah.
And I like that we go down these little, pockets of like rabbit holes just to come back to where we are. I do feel like if we're talking about forgiveness, oh, this is a great segue. We're talking about this is like, how do you, right? I feel like forgiveness is a utility. It's an operation. Forgiveness is not something that you say. It's also not something that you do. It's something that you operate in. So forgiveness is a mindset because we say, I forgive you. It's a mindset and it's a spirit. It's how we are to move. And as black men, and I speak for all black men when I say this, I just feel like there has been an adultification for black boys, the same way that it has been for black girls, right? And black women, like adultifying. Oh, you 5? We're gonna treat you like you 18. You know what I mean? Because, but right now we're talking about black men. Because I know people are gonna say, well, what about,
No, I have a son. I know he came out the womb with muscles. I'm serious.
look at his dad though. Hey, so to that point, there are certain people, black and brown people that, develop in ways that other people don't. Still no way and means to treat a person based off of how you see them phenotypically.
I want to take you back to when you were talking about forgiveness and like the Ku Klux Klan. Me and my son were having a conversation the other day, and we were talking about how when you don't forgive somebody who's hurt you, if you don't forgive, hate can grow. Then the hate that's inside of you becomes equal to the hate that was inside of them that caused that problem. So you hate them, but now you're becoming them at the same time. Or do you say no?
No. True. Man, the last part you said. Okay, so yes, and then yes.
If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Hey, tell me.
No wrong. And then too, like, I think that's beautiful. I think that's dope that you and your son are having this conversation. Bob Marley and Martin Luther King had the same utility, but they had different methods. One was a musician and one was a pastor. You know.
Yeah, same function though.
Same function. Drive out darkness. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that.
Yeah.
Said Martin Luther King. And then Bob Marley said something similar. I think without even paying attention to what one another were saying.
It was just a spiritual echo, I believe, that was going out.
Yeah.
Because I definitely believe that. I believe that when God has something to say, that he's not going to just say it to one person. Once his word goes out, it echoes inside of all of his units or his beings, whatever it is, the ones that are speaking for him. So
Say that.
Yeah.
Say that. I know we're talking about, black men and mental health per se. Forgive every act that you do against me. The big bad wolf comes, he blows a house down. The big bad wolf comes, he tears a house up. After you built the house up again, he comes again, and now you built it of brick, and now he gets some type of acid to melt the brick. You're going to forgive him every time?
Yeah.
You just operate in a place of forgiveness, but to me, forgiveness is also wisdom.
Yeah, not to put yourself in a position to keep
Thank
getting hurt over and over
you.
again.
So let's even go back to the child, right? Little Timmy or little Susie coming home to an abusive household. I'm not saying run away from home, but find help, right? There's wisdom in that. But there are ways, right? Tell a friend, and the friend is going to tell, like, God is always going to find a way for you out, whoever, right? But we're talking about the black man now. Like, God has a way for you out. You don't have to go it alone. Talk to somebody. Wear your emotions on your sleeve. There's nothing wrong with that. They tell you not to, but, wear your emotions on your sleeve. Like, speak directly to the problem.
Yeah.
Like, speak to the problem. And if it bothers you, do something. Some people may say that's easier said than done.
Yeah. I would say if you're a child, number one, find somebody in your family that you could trust and tell, hey, I don't like what's happening. Can you talk to them? Maybe that could help. Maybe.
I just know that the results should never be darkness or darkness.
Yeah.
We know how that goes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there are local people in your community, somehow, some way, just community-wise. I'm not even talking about at a legalistic level, but just community, right? The church is there.
Yeah.
The Boys and Girls Club. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, there are different things today. People have different ways to vent on forums now because of social media.
Yeah.
And the blessings that come with that. Everything has a blessing and a curse, but you can speak out. You can talk. You can wave the flag to say, hey, I need help. Somehow,
Right.
some way.
Yeah. Like, talk to somebody that loves you and has your back.
Yeah.
Like you said, but I don't know about teachers, but but maybe.
Yeah, because they mandate, I'm a professor, I'm a mandated reporter. You have to report any infliction of harm or danger or potential death, any form of abuse. You see something on somebody's arm, you have to talk, you have to say something.
Well, let's see what else she got to say.
All right.
But you want to recognize the offense. You want to recognize and have those feelings. You'd never want to be in a place of denial, but also you want to actually understand that it is a one-time offense, hopefully.
Yeah.
Release it, and also release the person and circumstance.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Yes, because often what we are trapped in is this kind of wishful thinking. I wish it did not occur that way, right? And there are a lot of unfortunate situations that has happened that was not our fault.
Right.
But also we have to look and evaluate, how did I show up in that experience and what did I contribute as well? So you can lead with wisdom or you can lead with defense.
Yeah. Can I just say, I love your demeanor. You just speak so softly, and I just feel like you're just penetrating my spirit. This is really an anointing that God put on you, because I don't even think I have anybody that I'm not forgiven. But I feel like something just lifted off of me just talking to you. Oh my goodness, you're so sweet. I just love you so much.
Oh, love you too.
I'm serious. Like, I really feel like just hearing your voice. Oh my gosh. It's amazing. Okay, so I have another question. This is something that just in general conversation, I don't know. I mean, women probably talk about this in private and confess that they've had abortions. And in that, it's a massive amount of self-hate, or I don't know if it would be hate, but just unforgiveness of self. Can you talk to how somebody would walk themselves through forgiving themselves? Would it be the same as forgiving somebody else? Or is there a different approach for forgiving yourself for hurting yourself?
Sure. It definitely depends on the circumstance. And as you reflected, if we consider abortion, and we use the example of a confession being made, that's part of releasing. And that's part of actually coming to a place of forgiveness, because sometimes our difficulty in really forgiving ourselves has to do with the shame of hiding, right? And it causes emotional isolation. You're ruminating. You're the only one that actually knows this.
Yeah.
So it keeps you trapped in this place of darkness and shame.
You just made it easy for her to, I mean, just as good, like just how you set up and facilitate and how you facilitate this conversation. And I appreciate it because so something comes to mind as she's saying what she's saying. It's like forgiveness is for you. It's never for the person, but it also frees the person, but it frees you first.
Yes.
I can't inflict pain on anybody with my unforgiveness.
Yeah, what is it good for besides growing hate and negative feelings within yourself?
And I like that you said that earlier when you said growing hate. I just think of somebody in a greenhouse or in a field, like they're growing crops and you're planting and harvesting. It's just like, that's what you're doing with unforgiveness. Forgiveness for me is easy because I know the end result of unforgiveness. I don't believe God makes life hard for us. Bible says, while the sun is still up.
Don't let it go down on your anger.
And there's another scripture that says, if at all possible, if you can resolve the issue before it goes to court, have a conversation with that person. It doesn't use the term forgiveness in that. That's what's operating there.
Resolution, yes.
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 Thank you. Perfect word. But I do feel like forgiveness is made hard. I'm just saying, just speaking as a black man, it's hard to forgive atrocities that were done against black people. The Tulsa massacre in Greenwood.
Yes.
Prior to that, if you're just thinking about what happened on the continent, or even what happened here, right? Because black people were here before, right? Indigenous people. So it's just like, we have to stick together. And it's true, we do have to stick together, but I feel like you're free when you just operate from a place of love and forgiveness.
That's the next level of freedom, right? We've already been released from slavery.
Come on.
But then you have the next level of freedom is here.
And in your spirit in here.
Yes.
Because it's your intellect. You have your intellect.
But like you said earlier, forgiveness don't mean you got to be a fool. It don't mean you got to keep putting yourself in a position to be abused by your abuser over and over again.
Say that.
It just means that you release that darkness from your heart and move forward.
Fact. And all men, forgiveness is not a choice. That is if you want to be free.
It's an order that God has given you to forgive. I realized over the years that the Bible, even the King James Version, but I'm sure that there's better, even the King James Version, that there are instructions as to how to live a healthy lifestyle spiritually. And the first step, like we were saying earlier, is forgiveness and keeping your mind on things that are good, true, and holy, and forgiving everybody always, but not being a fool.
And I love how you put that, because you bring me to a scripture that says, forgive and forget. Nah, somebody did something there.
I don't believe. Yeah.
Because the God it is that we know and that we serve, he's not a forgetful God. He doesn't sleep nor slumber. In other words, he doesn't forget. You should author and you should write your story in the most positive way. And I feel like that is altruistic. That is heroic. You are a hero when you willfully, authoritatively write a positive story. But it can be the opposite when you just like, nah, it's this way and it's always going to be this way. You make it to work that way, but it shouldn't happen that way. And that kind of breaks my heart. And I feel like that's why we are talking and speaking the way we are now, because mentally, men don't have an outlet. And that's why men have a shorter lifespan than women.
Holding on to all that anger.
And
yeah.
toxicity.
Yeah.
And then going back to what she said, right? She said the mentality of it's toxic to be like, no, everything's okay. That's one of the worst things you can do. That's like
Right.
walking around on fire and be like, everybody's like, yo, let's throw water on you. No. Let me burn. I'm fine.
I'm good.
Nothing to see here, folks.
No.
You know, that's most men. Let me walk in my burn. Like, nah, let's
talk about it. Get it out there.
Yeah.
Well, let's see what else she got to say.
All right.
Admit and move past it. Release it. It happened. But then we also have, especially if you have a higher power, right? If you have God in your life, you have to understand that you trapping your place into that place of unforgiveness is not what God is doing, it's what you're doing to yourself. So who are we to hold on to that place of unforgiveness? And God has already released us.
It's like a willful commandment. Like in God's will, there's freedom. So once you're in Him, if you are going against the freedom and say, "No, I want to be jailed," that's literally going against God's will. That's called sin. Anything that goes against God's word or His will is sin. Period.
What about with self-forgiveness? Like I teach my son, like everybody makes mistakes. And when you're young, I think a lot of men, women, we just make mistakes when we're young. And then sometimes you live it and keep thinking about, oh man, I shouldn't have done that. Like what she was talking about, like some women have abortions and then for the rest of their life, they always look back on that. How would you instruct a man to forgive himself?
Talk to yourself and talk to God. Even if you're not a Christian, if you don't believe, just talk to God because He's real and He's there. Like check in and check out with God.
Yeah.
That's the first place. And man, find community.
Okay.
It's never far. Community could be one person. Like Warren is large part of my community, right? Like that's literally my big bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Can I say like the men in my life are my community? I go to my dad.
Yeah, you have that. That's good.
Yeah.
But not everybody has that. And then sometimes people have shame. Like when she was talking, they're ashamed and they don't want to tell anybody and they resonate in that alone. You're saying going to the community. But sometimes I believe that it's good for people to just say it out loud, that power. I heard someone else say it before. I can't remember exactly who, but before you go to bed, like I say, don't let the sun go down on your anger. Mm-hmm. Before you go to bed at night, like part of your nightly routine should be, I forgive myself for every mistake that I made today.
Yes.
And I release myself from the burden of that mistake. And I forgive everyone who has offended me. And then I rest.
Words are spirits.
Yes.
Like as we're talking right now, we can never grab them, but we feel them. We know them. And the thing is, words aren't words without thoughts because everything it is that's spoken has to come from a place. That's a practice.
It is.
I think that should be as much practice as prayer because prayer is a practice.
Yeah.
And you should be able to see yourself. Kind of like when you go in the mirror, it becomes two people. And the person who first told me that when I was like maybe like 7 or 8 was my dad. He said, go in the mirror and just talk to yourself.
Well, let's see what else she got to say.
All right.
We're our own worst critics sometimes, right?
Yes.
But ruminating, perseverating over it, no. Whatever offense that you've created on yourself that caused unforgiveness for you, you have to release yourself so you can actually do better and make better choices moving forward.
Right.
There's a lot of things that, as a man, there's a lot of things I won't say unless I'm asked. But when presented the right way, asked the right way, and approached with grace, the honor and the pleasure is mine, and I just appreciate you making space for that.
Oh wow!
And making space for men to be able to be heard in that way because it's not normalized. It should be just as normal as a woman being heard. But I do understand, and it's not a but against men. Women are still fighting for women's rights, and that sucks. Hence is why I am a huge advocate and supporter of, let me first say for Black women, just for women, shut out, disenfranchised, abused, and just unheard and silenced. And I'm here to say that a lot of that stuff is just, it's an illusion against a real war. Because these are small battles, but there's a real war going on.
Yes.
And it's keeping us separate from one another. And we need to come together to cry with one another and heal together. If I may say, heal together in Jesus. But heal together.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And support one another.
Yes.
That's what's important. Woman support man. Man definitely support and have the back and protect women, right?
Yes. Man, you said it. That's it right there. I can end on that note. Thank you. No, that's awesome. All right, you've watched the Hope and Strength Unit podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm here with Dr. Charles Opong and Raina Spates. Peace.
Peace. So I had the very same. So shepherd mix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got one?
I had.
Oh.
Yeah. He passed. She looks just like him. The black mouth and everything, just that. Prince had a white coat with the brown shoes.
Oh.
Yeah, brown shoes, white coat, white tail tip.
Yeah.
And then we also had a Chihuahua too.
What?
Yeah, like they were
What a funny
together.
match.
Yeah. Yeah, so
They're a
like as
good
I'm saying
match.
this is taking me back.
You heard what he said? That's funny.
Come on, Jermaine, come on,
It was Donut and Prince. Donut was the
Donut was the
Chihuahua.
big one?
Chihuahua. And then Prince was the shepherd, lab shepherd. That's a lab
Lab.
shepherd.
I don't know what it is. It's a little mutt they got off the streets in Mexico.
I think that's a lab shepherd. Those are the best dogs.
Yeah. She's so smart. Like, she knows what I'm talking about. Like, I can literally tell her, what did I tell her? Oh, gosh, I don't know what I told her. Oh, so I was feeding her some watermelon the other day, and she just kept looking. I said, no, bite it. And she said, I said, no, bite it. That was funny.
I love it.
Let me know this first.
Okay.